Welcome to the Rewilding Womb, a space where birth, body wisdom, and feminine power are remembered and reclaimed. I'm Sabrina, an out-of-hospital midwife devoted to physiological birth, deep listening, and protecting the sacred threshold of pregnancy, birth, and postpartum.
And I'm Danielle, a photographer and doula, here to witness, support, and document the raw, transformative journey of being a woman. Together, we're having honest conversations about birth, postpartum, boundaries, and what it means to return to our instincts in a modern world.
This is the Rewilding Womb, where we trust birth, honor the mother, and come home to ourselves. Welcome back to another episode of the Rewilding Womb. Danielle and I are here today to talk with you about postpartum awareness, preparation, and just there's so many things that go along with preparing ourselves mentally and physically for our postpartum period. And we just want to bring awareness and intention, not perfection, as the goal, because nobody's perfect. No one's going to do anything perfect. No. And so it's just really important for all women to remember that you prepare so many months to have a baby, and you prepare for the birth, and you prepare for the baby being in your home. But women forget about thinking about themselves and preparing themselves in every aspect for all of the changes that come along with being postpartum. And so much goes into that. And the thing is, postpartum is not at all about getting your body back. It's about celebrating and being okay with the body, your new body, where you are now. Mm-hmm. I always tell my clients, because this is what I realized after I had lots of babies. I realized after every child, my body is never going to be the same again. Mm-hmm. It's going to be wonderful and beautiful and amazing, but there's always going to be something different about your body that's going to be different. And these are rarely actual physical things. Obviously, the body goes through physical changes, but there's so much deeper. It's physical and it's deeper, just the way your mind works and the way your body works, the metabolism and hormones, and you're just going to be a totally different person, both mentally and physically, after having a baby. And so it's just really important for women to understand that it's normal for your body to be different, for you to feel different after having a baby. And there's so much that goes into it. But one of the most important things that women focus on is their physical changes. And so I want to talk a little bit about the bounce back and things like that. But I know that with Danielle's work in photography, she is just so passionate about bringing normalcy to postpartum bodies and helping women understand what is normal, what is not. And so I really just want you to share more of your passion about that.
Yes.
Because it's so important.
It is very important. And so that's what I love to highlight too, because like we see online social medias, like especially like reels and videos and Instagram, like we're seeing all these women that post and share their bodies that are like fitness instructors, or like they're really into nutrition. And I love that. I love that they're
almost the worst,
this.
because I'm like looking at their stuff and I'm like, you're a week postpartum, like that has got to be a filter.
And so not only that, it's like a filter, but it's like it's a false reality. And these expectations some of these women put on these new mothers are like, okay, well, she's doing it, so I can do it too. Or why is my body not like bouncing back just like hers is? I mean, we are all genetically different, and it's so beautiful. And so with my work, I like to honor our bodies in all different ways. Like, I have people come to me that have had, this is their third baby, fourth baby, or have had they breastfed and their breasts look different, and they were all different. We're all made and shaped differently. Some have we have stretch marks, and some have some complications where they've had from nursing, I have moms that come and their babies, they've had poor latches for a while. And so they have some blisters, whatnot on their nipples. But I tell them, I'm like, this is kind of part of the process of the postpartumhood too. We're going to capture all these little details, and I want to capture them beautifully because this is just a moment. This is a time in your life to honor this and be like, okay, my body is not broken. This is something that, I'm going through. I want to, may not be something that they want to look back on necessarily. Okay, that was a really hard time for me, but it's able to put you back to that spot and be like, okay, I went through that. I got through that season of life. That was hard for me, but man, did my body do what it was supposed to do? Did I fed my baby, and my baby is nice and a roly-poly and taking all that nutrition and good, milk through their bodies. But it's when we see these things on social media, and these women are just showing them waking up in the morning and doing their routines, showing off they have their pregnant belly. I've seen this. So they have this video of their pregnant belly, they're 40 weeks, and then have their baby, and they have their baby in their arms, and then they're showing off their belly again with their baby in their arms, and they look like they have their abs back. I'm like, what is happening here? And so there's this group called, was it Sunday Morning? I think on Instagram. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I might have to put a link on this because I want moms that are listening to this to go to this Instagram page. And they post, it's a photographer, and they post and they share women's bodies from all over the world that have had babies and that have changed in the process, but honoring them in such a way where it's wow, we are all so different. We are all so beautiful. And just to look at your body and say, you know what? I don't want to fix my body. I want to honor this process and this time in this postpartum period. And so what I tell women to come to me, from freshly newborn, I've had moms that have had C-sections, they have a scar, in their pubic area. And I'm like, let me take photos of that for you. Let me have your little baby's feet and their toes right by that incision. And they're like, oh, you want to do that? I'm like, I do. Absolutely. I want that because that shows so much strength. Everything that you have gone through, and you are home with your baby now, and you have that incision from your C-section, and that baby is on your belly, earth side, in your arms, and their little toes are perfectly laying across that area that brought them into this world. And so it's showing them the beauty that comes from something like a scar. Because of course, as women, we get a scar on our body. We're always oh, I don't like it. They want to get rid of it. There's all these different types of things you could do now, like laser. They have tattoos now that you can tattoo stretch marks. Have you seen that?
What?
Yes. So there's tattoo artists out there that are now tattooing stretch marks so it blends in with your skin tone.
Oh, they're tattooing over them.
Yes, over them with the skin tones.
Uh-huh.
So you can hide those stretch marks. I'm like, what is that teaching?
Well, I think the problem is like this whole, like, let's put all these fake pictures on the internet and the social media and the filters. It's setting people, it's just like, we all know, like, it's harming our young people, our kids growing up. Like, that's why it's like, don't let your kids have phones, because it's so dangerous. And so it's affecting even the women who are having babies, it's affecting them. And it's hard for us to accept those physical changes in our body. And so it is important for photographers like yourself and like this other, these other people who are sharing about the reality of the changes. It's important for us to promote that and to show that, because yes, we should be so utterly grateful that our bodies have grown a human baby and have, yes, your body has shifted and it has changes and maybe it has stretched. And the thing is though, like with fertility rates at an all-time low where they are right now, like if we can just take the little thing of like, instead of like when we're thinking about how our body has changed and how it looks different and feels different, if we can just kind of shift that into, instead of focusing on that we perceive as negative, and we just realize like, but you know what? Look at this tiny, perfect little human that I'm holding. And if you're breastfeeding, that you're nursing and your baby, because nursing is so much more than just feeding. It's bonding, and it's that baby's nervous system connection and grounding, and just like realizing that all these changes are beautiful transitions. And, being a very young mom myself, I was a tiny little 96-pound girl when I conceived my first child, and I gained like 64 pounds when I was pregnant with him. I had stretch marks by the time I was 5 months pregnant all over my calves, my thighs, my breasts. I was so covered in I had stretch marks literally like almost an inch wide on my hips and thighs. And I remember being still a girl, a teenage girl, at the pool with my friends as like a 17-year-old with a 2-year-old, and embarrassed about my stretch marks. I was this tiny little thin thing because I had worked out and gotten back in shape after he was born, but I had all those stretch marks all over me. And I remember those friends of mine that were just like, Sabrina, who cares? We don't care. Nobody else cares. Everyone sees you mothering your child and what a great mother you are as a young girl. And you think of those as your tiger stripes.
Yeah.
Don't think of those as scars to be embarrassed by. They're like, does a tiger, like, are they ashamed of their stripes?
Oh, those are great friends.
I was just like, that was one of those divine things I feel like that God let someone say to me. They had no idea the impact that was for me. And it was so impactful as a 17-year-old who was embarrassed of all these stretch marks that I had all over my body. But it just made me like, yeah, I am a proud mom. I am a good mom. And did that completely erase all of my my embarrassment about stretch marks? Absolutely not. But it was one thing that I think back now, like I have a daughter who just posted on her TikTok like last month about, guys, what do you do about making stretch marks go away? And I'm just like, I'm so sorry, honey. They're hereditary. Like we can't, I got them. My mom got them. You've got them. They're never going to go away. But as you can see on my body, they fade. They blend in. But like, I would never think about covering them with tattoos. I feel like that would be putting a scar on top of a scar.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
It's just like, ladies, think of them as your tiger stripes. Like, would a tiger be ashamed of their stripes? Like, those are your battle wounds. Because, I mean, it's just something, we just have to shift our perspective to gratitude of what our bodies did and loving the new body that you're in.
Yes. And I feel like when you have multiple children too, it's something to think about when it comes to our bodies. Like you have to watch what you say around your kids. And I have daughters, and I know, like, with social media, things, the television. I mean, not even if your kid doesn't even have social media, it's all over. It's on Disney shows. It's on like gosh, I don't even know, like, all these new things that they come out, but it shows like women in figures that they look like they're in great shape after they had a baby.
When their baby's like 2 weeks old.
Yes. And I'm like, no, that
so
is
fake.
not reality.
No, it's not.
And so that's why with my work with photography and videography, I actually have 2 postpartum sessions lined up this week. And I'm excited to document these because it will be video showcase, like showing bellies, showing breastfeeding, lactation. I mean, I like having the moms like not wear their pads like that they put in their bras. I'm like, we're just going to freestyle this. We're going to put you in a shirt.
Just let the milk leak,
and I'm
and
going
we're going to capture it.
And we are going to capture it because that's reality. How many times have we as moms, don't have our pads in and we're sitting on the couch and we hear our baby cry and we start lactating?
Or you're out in public because you forgot to bring some pads with you, and then you end up with a soaking wet shirt, and you're like, oh,
yes, you're like,
let's hope I have long enough hair to cover.
Right, exactly. And so, like, there's a huge a shame thing that comes from that. I think it's like, oh no, I hope no one sees this. I hope no one. I'm like, that's part of being
proud.
a mother. That's part of breastfeeding your child. That is your body signaling you, like, hey, your baby's crying, your baby's wanting to be fed. I think that's just a beautiful connection that happens there. And that shows you like hormones, like just how we are connected to our little ones. And that just with their slight cry, but I've actually leaked before with other people's kids too.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I'm out and about at the
100%.
mall.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like walking around these stores, and all of a sudden the baby cries somewhere in another room. And I'm like, oh, I felt that urge. It's this like tingling sensation going up down my breast. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start leaking.
Yes.
And it's normal though. And that's beautiful. And I now that I look back on that, it's just something to feel like so proud of, that we can be so connected with energy and everything just by a cry, a simple cry, how our bodies are wired and our brain is wired to those types of sounds and sensations. It's so amazing. But that goes to like with language. We were talking about language matters of what you're saying to yourself. Like if you have little ones around and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, gosh, I can't fit into these pants anymore. Like I'm like, no, let's wear something comfortable. I tell my clients this a lot. When you're postpartum, wear the most comfiest items you can find. Like just something that if you sit down and it's like not grabbing at you, it's not tight, wear that. You don't need to fit into pre-pregnancy pants right
and
away.
The reality is that's going to take months.
Oh, yeah.
Working with the hundreds and hundreds of women that I know and having lots of babies, it takes at least, if a woman is healthy, 4 to 5 months to have any idea of I can maybe fit into my clothes that I fit in before conception. Right. Like it takes time. You have to realize like it took your body almost 10 months to shift into like having a baby. It takes a while for your body to then like feel safe enough to then start, changing again. And,
that kind of goes back to like the whole, like the hospitals and stuff like saying 6 weeks, like your postpartum visit at 6 weeks. And then, oh, there you go. You're fine. Everything checks out. A-okay. You're back to being normal. Go back to work. You can start having sex with your partner again and everything. Like, okay, you're good. I'm like, that's it. No, that's not it. That's just the start of your postpartum journey. Yeah. Like there is a lot of stuff, like we talked in our last episodes about the 3-month mark, what happens with our hormones and how our mental health changes during that time period. So, I mean, your body is putting in a lot of work for a year, if not much more. Like I think like with postpartum, I was reading something that your body actually, after you have a kiddo, like it takes like almost 5 years to get back to normal. And then people have other kids, like other babies and other pregnancies before that time. So now you've got, your postpartum period, and then you get pregnant again and have another baby. And it's like this process that your body is going through and so much change is happening. And women are trying to like battle against what their body is trying to do in order to like get back to pre-pregnancy weight or to make their body look better, what they feel like is better. And then they get pregnant again and then go through the process again, but they didn't have time to just honor that season before they get pregnant again. So it's like, I let my moms know, like, just embrace this time and just carefully, like each day, wake up, look at yourself in the mirror and say something positive about yourself.
Yes.
And let your children, if you have other children at home, let your children hear that. Because if you're looking in the mirror, they're going to look too. I've had my girls, like, they'll like raise up their shirts and stuff because especially my youngest, Cora, she like nursed forever, I felt like, but she liked to talk about her breasts. And like, she was very aware of what I was saying about my body. And so like I have lots of stretch marks too, from my pregnancies. And so I remember she used to, when she was a baby, she would go and like touch them and play with them, like kind of like drawing on my belly. And that was, I thought that was really sweet. I was like, oh my goodness. And she liked to squeeze my belly. So she would go and like squeeze it and play with it and like kind of like Play-Doh.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I thought that was sweet. She wasn't thinking anything like in her head, oh, mom, look at this, look at that. She wasn't there. She just loved it. She loved the feeling of my body that gave birth to her.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to her about it too. And like I was, you were in my belly, and like how big she always wanted to look back at pictures of my belly and the size of my belly. And she was just so in awe of it. And she still is. I mean, she's, going to be 12 here soon, but she is in awe of our bodies. And her and I watch the show, The Midwife. I'm pretty sure you know this show, but she loves that. She loves all the difference. She talks about different bodies and different way these women are birthing, or different situations that come about. I know that show talks about like different like breastfeeding, complications, and she's really like knowledgeable. Like she wants to like dig into that and understand like why our bodies work a certain way, like are different than other people. And so like I'll sit down with her and talk to her about how we are all different. And so that goes back to like with the whole postpartum period, like we are all different. Our bodies will heal differently. They will look differently. Our breasts, our hips, our feet, our hands, our hair. That was another thing I feel like with moms when they have really like postpartum hair loss. And it's hard. As someone that struggles with iron deficiency, I know when my iron is low by my hair falling out. And trust me, when I'm in the shower and I'm washing my hair and I see just clumps of it in my hands, it is disheartening. It's like, oh my gosh, it can make you depressed by looking at it. Like, how much hair am I going to be losing? And so I know in that postpartum stage, when you're losing all that beautiful hair that was grown through your pregnancy, and then you have clumps of it coming out, you're hot, you have the hot flashes, your hormones are shifting, you're lactating everywhere, you are bleeding, you are fatigued, your hips, your joints hurt. It's hard to look and embrace that period of time when a lot of things are happening. But so what I say with my clients, especially those that hire me for postpartum, photography and videography, is every day, thank your body for something it has done. And for me to be able to document that moment for you, just snuggling with your little one and sitting in a position, because I know a lot of moms are like, how does this look? Do I look okay? Or does my roll showing? I'm like, let's just put you in a natural position.
How would you be normally sitting if I wasn't here with a camera?
Right, exactly. Just
let's show
put
reality.
You into a natural position. And I obviously work with angles and lighting. I love the lighting because I find your body so beautiful. Like, so I want to capture that moment that I'm seeing with my eyes. You may not see it so much, but what I'm seeing, I want you to just stay where you are, right where you are, and let me document this for you. And when they see their gallery, they're usually like blown away by it. They're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know, I didn't even know this was going to look this great, like with their little ones, but just the way how their child is looking at them and the connection that they're sharing, the way that their feet are dangling when they're nursing just on their belly, just perfectly. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This is real life. This is reality. Mm-hmm. You know, not going and getting up in the crack of dawn and going for a workout and having your, detox regimen that you do with a face mask and then do another workout. Oh, then we've got to do yoga. And then we're going to like power through and journal about some things and be grateful, but then talk about our bodies, how they need to get back to where they were. And I'm like, what? No. Why? It's
a problem.
It is a big problem.
And so but see, Danielle, you don't realize what a talent and gift that you have, that you use your photography to like give a message, and how you tell beautiful stories with your work. Like you have a talent to do that. I've not seen it anywhere else. Like it's wild. And it's like, that's your purpose. Like you're supposed to do that. And so that's why you're passionate about this, because you can do it so well. But we have a lot to combat, because my daughters, now that I have, daughters who are one of my daughters has been a mom for almost 9 years now, but the other two are just, they have their one baby and they're in the throes. One is a little over a year and one is like 9 months. And they look at all this social media stuff and they'll be like, look, Mom, at this thing, like it's so unhealthy. Like, I can't believe that woman is like promoting being out and about like 4 days after a C-section. And I'm like, that's so crazy. And it just makes me want, like, every time I see it, I'm like, I need to get on my social media and talk about this, because it is so detrimental. Because like you said, everyone's bodies are so different. And some women, they have more physical and emotional and mental ability to bounce back per se. There are some women who really can do it and it's not harmful to them, but within reason. Like no woman should be 3 days after having a C-section be out and about shopping and doing stuff. First off, you need to be bonding with your baby. This is just wildness. So even if a woman can physically do it, which is extremely, extremely rare, and I am not promoting it, I don't think any woman should be ever doing anything like that, you're still interrupting the bonding with your baby and the connection. And this is the beginning of the breakdown of mother-child connections that is contributing to so many of society's errors right now, big time. And so I always tell my girls, though, if they're like, well, look at this person, or I know this woman who's doing this and she's only 3 weeks postpartum or 4 weeks postpartum and they look like they have it all together. And I'm like, I've worked with enough women to know nobody has it all together. Right. They do not have it all together. They might physically be putting on a show for either their social media or for people even in real life, but they're going home and I promise you they are a mental, emotional mess. And physically, they're not feeling good. It is all about all these other things that we talk about in our show here, is that let's just be real and authentic, and it's okay. And our younger generation, our daughters and the other young women who have not entered motherhood yet, they need to see what's real. Right. And you being like, oh yeah, everything's just fine. And then you go home and you can't tend to your children and you're melting down and your marriage is on the brinks because you're pushing yourself too hard postpartum. Like, this is a big, big problem. And the medical system obviously doesn't help that. When they're just like send you home at 24 hours and then go on your merry way. We'll see you at 6 weeks for some birth control and a pap smear. Like, that's not postpartum care. No. That's not postpartum care at all. That's why we midwives, I'm like, you call me 24/7, you have questions, concerns, anything about you or baby, I'm coming tomorrow and I'll be back in 3 days and I'll be back in 4 days. Because women need to know that they are also very important and that their baby is important. They are important. And that they need to consider like the mom-baby connection. Yes, there's two individuals here, but you two need each other so, so much. And we need to feed that bonding. And when we're just out here running around or we're trying to slim our tummy down and make it flat again, you have to think about what are you doing to your body, because birth itself is very hard on the body physically. Yes, our bodies are built to do it, but if you're not honoring and respecting this beautiful transition and truly giving yourself time to honor it and time for the hormones
And
to settle
rest.
for your body to come back, and you push yourself too hard, you're wrecking yourself for months, not just weeks or even more years. And so it comes down to like, yes, we have lots of modalities in the world today to help us with things like this. Things like, pelvic floor therapy, which so many women need. And there's so many things that contribute to the need for pelvic floor therapy, like birthing in certain ways that are very mainstream right now are very detrimental to our pelvic floor. Our mentality about allowing our body to release our baby could be a contributing factor to our pelvic floor. And doing too much postpartum 100% will damage your pelvic floor. Even if you had a great birth and it didn't harm it, if you are doing too much too early postpartum, you're going to have some damage to your pelvic floor. And so that's great that pelvic floor therapy is a thing. But it's not the only thing.
And we're going to be talking to someone also who is coming on the show here soon that is a pelvic floor therapist. And so that's another, I am very excited too. So this will be great. This is one of the things that we wanted to do with this episode today is kind of introduce what we have in store for you all, which will be going over the next 2-3 weeks over more postpartum planning and preparation and what we need to focus on while we're in prenatally, like planning for the birth. We should be actually planning for the postpartum period because yes, that is like the biggest time frame. And that is like, when people think of like postpartum, they think of the crib, they think of the stroller, they think of, bottles or pacifiers, blankets. They're thinking, sometimes some meal trains and things, which is great. Nutrition is a huge thing. That's something we'll talk about right now or in just a second. But like, we need to be planning more into like using the community and what we have available to have appointments set up, but finding providers too that can either come to your house, because there are some that can, and insurance does cover quite a bit. So just check with your insurance. You can give them their information, and then sometimes it's like a super bill. So you would have to pay up front and then send it in for your insurance to cover. I know with me, like HSA, FSA as well, like I take that and that gets approved. But like the resources that we have now compared to what they were 10 years ago,
abundant.
Yes. So with my clients, I always talk about, so we're going into nutrition. So talking with like a nutritionist, and I like holistic nutrition because they look at the lifestyle, they look at the person themselves, like what they like, and like what they look at food. They look at food as like energy going throughout your body. So I know there's like nutritionists that work through medical systems, and they are highly educated too when it comes to minerals and vitamins, or if you have a certain kind of diet like vegan or vegetarian, they know how to give you the amount of protein, because protein is a huge thing in the postpartum period. So if you are vegan or vegetarian, you have to make sure that you are getting the amount of protein that you do need to fuel your body, and while you're breastfeeding your little one as well, because it will become depleted very quickly. And so with depletion of nutrients that causes a host of issues postpartum.
But we have to be thinking about these things in reality, preconception.
Yeah.
And so when I have women that transfer me mid-pregnancy from medical hospital providers, it's always, we're having to play catch up with educating them about fueling their bodies. And so women who are so scared of gaining weight in pregnancy, and then they have providers within the medical system saying, oh, you're starting your pregnancy out like at this weight, so you're only allowed to gain this much weight. And so a woman is so focused on a number on a scale, she's not listening to her body. She's not fueling her body. And when they come to me and they're in desperation, like they're talking, doing all these things because my baby's measuring small. And the very first thing, nutrition. What are you eating every day? What are you eating? How are you feeling your body? What is your sleep like? How are you managing stress? What does your support system look like? Because I need you to properly fuel your body while you have a baby in your womb. Because if you do not, it will affect your postpartum. We see it all the time. And so it's not, we can't if we just encounter a woman at term or at the postpartum side, we need to start educating her on these things. But really, ladies, you need to be doing this preconception. You need to realize we have been given wrong information for decades about how to fuel our bodies. Our bodies are engines. They need gasoline. Our gasoline is food and hydration and proper stress management and sleep. And we have to have our tanks full in order for things to go well when we're asking them to do big things like carry a baby to term and birth a baby and make milk and then heal and recover postpartum. Nutrition is so paramount to that.
Yes. And we're going to be talking also with a holistic nutritionist.
Which is great.
We have someone else coming on the show for that. And so they'll touch base on what some good meal preps or planning on what to avoid and what to eat, what to keep on hand. Because sometimes we're busy with our little ones. And I know how hard it can be to get that food in or planning. For me, it was, I don't want to have to put this together, this food together. I have a toddler running around the house. I have a baby that's on my chest. I don't have the mental energy to prepare this. So I'd rather not eat. And that's the way I was. And that really affected my postpartum health because it led me to, honestly, postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. And I was fatigued. I was so tired and I could barely get out of bed. My eyes, I felt like I was walking on in a cloud. And
you had no fuel in your tanks.
And so now with my mamas, I'm like, okay, who's going to be feeding you? Who's going to be there with you? I ask them these questions. So who's your support team? And then from there, I also ask, let's do some meal prepping. So bone broth, warm foods. I'm all about warm foods postpartum.
Well, I think we're getting to the crux of this whole episode right here. And it's really planning. You have to plan ahead.
Yes.
You really have to plan ahead. And if you look at other cultures around the world, even to this day, women are cared for in their postpartum in a very different way than what Americans take care of us. And so, but it comes down to, we know for a fact it's the warm soups, the warm teas, the warm things that really nourish the body and help support inner healing. And so it's a simple fact, women who've had multiple babies, they experience a lot of after pains when they're nursing. This is uterine cramping. It's a good thing. I mean, it's helping the uterus to get back down and to reduce the bleeding and to heal faster. But those after pains with subsequent babies after that first or second can be really, really horrible. For me, it was worse than labor. I dreaded the postpartum. After about 4 babies, I started dreading the postpartum way more than I was like, I have a baby every day, but please please, let me just skip over the first 5 days postpartum because it really was so hard physically. And so, but what I have found is that, and a lot of midwives have found that if we can encourage women to avoid the ice cold things and nourish their body and bring in warm soups and broths and teas, then they have fewer of those after pains. Yeah. So it's just a simple thing of like, if we just listen to our intuition, and some women crave cold things, but it is true. Like the warm things, there's so much, and there's science behind it for the warmth.
And that's, okay, this could be a whole other topic with these cold plunge things. That's making me a little irritated because they're having these women go into these cold plunges to heal them to heal them from separate autoimmune, they say autoimmune disorders, or like to.
Could you imagine you getting in a cold plunge, Danielle?
Oh my gosh. If I didn't know if I didn't know what I had for an autoimmune disease and I got into one of those cold plunges, I would feel terrible. And then someone would tell me, oh no, that's just you detoxing. I'm like, that's not me detoxing. That's
because
my
that's
body
your body being unique and individual.
And we're different. And so hormones like our estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, like they thrive on warmth. And so like you think about you when you had cramps when you were a teenager, like what did you put on? A heating pad on your belly. So that's what they always said. Oh, put a heating pad on. So why aren't we doing this postpartum? Why are we telling women to just constantly use cold, like frozen pads for their perinatal, but like just, I understand with swelling. Cold can feel great when you're swollen, but rotating.
Cold doesn't promote healing though. And so I've often had to say, you need to use some cold to reduce the swelling, but we need to put warmth to bring the blood
back and to help
to heal the tissue.
Yes. And so that's something that they don't talk about. And now we do. I tell my clients to rotate it. If they're not swelling anymore, I'm like, just use the warmth, get some heating pads, utilize the heat, the warmth as much as you can. And then with like the foods, like broths and soups and stews and like just something that can just make you feel your body feel warm and cozy and comfortable, especially during winter seasons. I feel like that's a huge thing, is to make sure that your body is feeling warm. But yeah, and then the nutrition, like with iron, like your iron levels, like if you are lacking iron levels, you're going to feel cold.
Oh yeah.
Your body is going to respond in that way. And you're not going to have the energy because your body is tired and it's been throwing out all this energy to keep you alive, to keep your organs functioning. So what it's going to do, it's going to actually pull energy from your extremities, like your hands, your feet, your head, and it's not going to work properly. And it's going to turn off certain things in your body where now that's when, the causes for
your body's working to warm things back up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's exhausting. Yeah. So if you're not having the proper nutrition or the support or the education around postpartum, you're going to think to yourself, man, this is hard. I'm tired. Mm-hmm. Why do I feel so sleepy? Why am I not able to be present with my kids right now? I mean, and that's like with you coming in and talking about, well, how's your nutrition? How are you feeling? How are you sleeping? How's that support?
Yeah.
Because support is a huge thing. And I feel like if we can get, like, if we have other kids in the house, having someone come and assist with those kiddos, while you can have some one-on-one time with your baby.
Or take a nap.
Take a nap. Yeah. It's the power of like a 2-hour nap. It's just,
this is the problem with help coming in though. Is that a lot of times people want to come over to visit you after you have a baby because they want to hold your baby. Yes. And then I'll see this on social media all the time. And sometimes I have to apologize to my clients, like privately in our visits, because I'm like, I'm sorry if I overstepped when I commented on your post when all these old ladies were like, I'll come hold the baby while you can do laundry. I'm like, no. People don't come to your house to hold your baby so you can do the work. Mm-hmm. The one thing I hear from women so often, and this is going into postpartum mood stuff, but the mood, the physical, the mindset, this is all connected. Mm-hmm. And so when women are having these older women or friends or someone from their church, and they just want to come over and hold the baby so the mom can do the things, first off, that mother worked hard for that baby. Mm-hmm. And I hear so often these moms, maybe 2 years later, mm-hmm. they're like, and I ask them, like, what will you do differently this next one? Because I'm always here to bring people a better experience than they've had before. Yeah. And so the question is always, how can we make this birth and this postpartum better than you've ever had before? Mm-hmm. And so often women are like, I'm going to limit the visitors, mm-hmm. and I'm not letting anyone hold my baby because I felt obligated to let people hold my baby. And that just made me feel so bad mm-hmm. inside mm-hmm. and sad. And, mm-hmm. and just, it kind of fueled into, and people thought it was a help to come mm-hmm. over and just hold the baby and have me do the things. Listen, don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't be the person who's going to be like, I'll come hold your baby while you do your chores. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. When my daughter started having babies, we made it very clear because I've been talking to my daughters about this ever since they were old enough to start having babies. And I didn't have any support. Yeah. Both my mother and mother-in-law were local to me. Mother-in-law 10 minutes away, mom 40 minutes away. That's local to me. Mm-hmm. And never, not one time, did either of those ladies come to my house to do laundry, to help out with the other kids, to make a meal, to do a load of dishes, to sweep my floor. Never, not one time. Mm-hmm. And so as I started having babies out of hospital and encountering midwives like myself now, and they were educating my husband and I about what I was allowed to do and not allowed to do after having a baby, I was like, what? What?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm supposed to rest?
Yeah.
Like, it made such a huge difference from like all my hospital births where I just went home at 24 hours and snapped right back into life. Mm-hmm. I didn't know any better. Nobody around me said, maybe you shouldn't do that. Right. And so then I started having babies out of the hospital, and my doctor, who was actually more like a midwife, she was running a freestanding birth center and did home births. She sat my husband down after our fifth baby was born and was like, she's not allowed to get out of bed for at least 3 days. And then for the next couple of days, she needs to really take it easy. So you need to take over everything. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that 5 days, my husband was always like, wow, I didn't know that you did this much stuff. But I was right back at it 5 days. Yeah. But I can tell you, like, I don't promote being right back at it in 5 days. Right. I work with my clients now for months leading up to their birth about what is your postpartum plan. And I know that you do that a lot with your women who are delivering in the hospital because you need to think about it in advance. Yes. And for me, even just having 3 to 5 days made all the difference in how I felt physically and emotionally for that postpartum recovery. Was it enough? No. But my husband and I were doing the best we knew at the time. But we do differently for my daughters. So when my first daughter was pregnant with her first baby, I said, when she was planning her baby shower, which was like a month before baby was due, I was like, is it okay with you if I write up a little thanks for coming to your baby shower card, and we just want to prepare all of our guests who are here to support us what our postpartum plan is going to look like, because we're going to do it a little differently than what you're probably used to. And my daughter okayed it, and we did this little thanks for coming we gave it to every person that showed up at the baby shower. And the people who didn't show up that we knew were close, we mailed it to them, or we told them in some kind of way. Yeah. And we were just like, listen, this family does not want any visitors for at least 4 or 5 days. And you must check in with the husband before you think you're going to stop by. And if and when you stop by, it is requested that you do not come empty-handed. You come with a meal for this family, or something to feed this family, or you show up in order to do an act of service. You're going to either load the dishwasher, you're going to do some laundry, you're going to clean the bathroom. And just please be prepared that Mama's worked hard for this baby, and she's not going to let many people hold the baby. And so don't expect that. Right. And we just said that as gently as we could. And so that's just kind of been a theme. And now the other extended families, they just know, like, they're going to be really stingy with their baby. But it's worked out really great for my daughters. And they are doing so much better than most of the other women in society. Yeah. But it helps when their mom's a midwife and knows these things and works with all these women to help give them the thing and respects their boundaries, you know, because, but I didn't have it when I was having babies. So I'm like, I want to do that for them. Yes. It's so important.
That's how I am too.
And not all the women have moms who are willing to do that. I didn't, you didn't. And so we have to be that person who's reminding these women, you are important. You are just as important as your baby, and you deserve care and attention. So let's help you plan way before the baby's here. Right. But this goes to being willing to accept when friends or other people say, what can we do for you? Right. Don't say, oh no, we've got it. Just be like, you know what? Thursday, can you bring a meal on Thursday? We would so love it. Yes, or you know what? Can you pop in and do a couple loads of laundry for me? That would be the best. Us women are not good at this. I'm getting better about it in my old age, but I'm not old. I'm just saying the more mature I am, I'm getting a little bit better at it. And so it's a beautiful thing when we can encourage other moms to do it. And it's great when I can work with women who've had, and I'm sure you have too, who've had postpartums that were really rough, and they felt it physically, they felt it emotionally. And then they choose to do things differently with another pregnancy. And then they have a much better experience. And that's our goal, right? Is to help bring empowerment to them by bringing awareness and intention to the planning side of it. And I'm sure you do this too, but talking to the partners about, listen, how much time are you taking off work? Like, I recommend at least a week, if possible. If a week isn't even an option, listen, 3 days. You're going to have to financially prepare for missing at least 3 days of work. And if you can take 3 weeks, that's most ideal, especially if it's a second child. Yeah. Because now there's another child that needs mama and a baby. The second child is almost more important for dad to take more time off than the first almost.
Oh, yes. I agree 100%. And then going to with like planning as well, like going back to having that time period, I know there's different personalities. Some people don't need that connection with the outside world, but some do. And so you got some that mentally they feel better going and doing things and getting outside because that's what makes them feel good. And I'm kind of like that too. Like after a few days, when I'm home, I'm like, I got to get out. I got to do something. I need to get outside, go for a short walk, or I just need to go sit in the sun, or talk with friends or have someone come over. And then another thing is like with my clients, I like to tell them schedule lactation consulting. Like have a lactation consultant come to your home, preferably. Yeah. Because there are some lactation consultants that do home visits and insurance covers those. Also with your pelvic floor therapist, having that nutritionist that can talk to you beforehand. And pelvic floor therapy isn't not just for postpartum.
No.
It's for, I have my clients
go to a lot of pregnant women in there.
Yes. And it is amazing. I've heard so many of my clients say, wow, thank you so much for sending me to pelvic floor therapy, like letting me know about this, that I can go during my pregnancy because I learned so much about my body. Yeah. Pushing back, like they do so many different, like they have skills teaching women or teaching women to get in touch with themselves more.
It brings awareness into the body and helps the woman connect.
And so they're like, oh, wow, I could feel this because they have different tools that they use that help find different muscle groups that work during birth and postpartum. So being able to plan that period for your pregnancy, your birth, and postpartum as you're healing and able to have that same familiar face through your journey helps with that period of time when you are healing and your body is trying to, go back to, I wouldn't say normal, it takes some time, but like just your body is working on healing. And so you have that familiar face that you've talked with, that connection that you can share your experience, your birth experience with, and that really helps with your mood. So you have being alone in your postpartum period is a terrible feeling. Like I know, like when some people are like, I'm an introvert, I don't really want all those people. I'm like, you're going to want someone. You're going to want someone. I know that you're saying that you're going to want someone. Either your partner is going to be home with you, or your mom, or sister or your best friend.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those people close by, I want to set up some other people that can be in your life that is a benefit for your healing and your nutrition and like just your overall your well-being through during this stage of your life. And so they do like that. They end up telling me, oh, I really connected with her.
Yeah.
We shared experiences and now we're friends, they're Facebook friends or chit-chatting. And I love that I was able to bring that connection with these other women and that what they're able to do for our community with talking to these women and providing them a service that we didn't have 10 years ago. And so, hey, take it, do it. If you can if I know like sometimes with insurance or if you don't have insurance, it can, the affordability around it or how much it is. There's things that you will, have to navigate or save money, put aside. But that goes to like your baby showers. Like if you're going to have a baby shower and
put those things on your list.
And make a little jar. And this is like for doula services too.
Yeah, donations for these services that I'm going to need.
Like postpartum 100%. Doulas. Yeah. That's like a whole other topic too. I totally forgot about. Like there's postpartum doulas out there that will come to your home and assist and where you can get rest and sleep at nights. And they can, be up with your baby and then they'll bring baby to you to nurse and then they'll take baby back and, rock them to sleep. They'll clean bottles. They'll clean your house. They'll do laundry. And so, I mean, there's different things and options that we can have. But like during that time period where people are trying to give you all these gifts, like say, no, this is what our priority is.
Yes.
This is what we're going to focus on. It's going to be my health, our nutrition, our family's nutrition, meal planning for them, cleaning, and postpartum doula care, lactation consulting. This is the priority. Yeah. And I love that you want to buy all these little things for baby. It's fun. It's fun shopping. I mean, grandma wants to go and shop for baby and get all these clothes and a new stroller or decorate their room. But that baby is not going to be in that room for a long time. Most of it. I will say it's so cute having a nice little room for your baby, but man, we can take time on that. You don't have to get it all finished before baby arrives because that baby is going to be by you.
We need to be thinking more about it. Let's come away from the materialistic side. Let's talk about us as a human and how we need to get through this really, really difficult transition. And so listen, going from the first child is always the hardest because it's like, especially a lot of women are waiting until they're more mature in their 30s before they have children. I'm telling you as a midwife, the women who are in their 30s having babies, y'all are going to have a harder time postpartum transitioning into that than young moms who are in their early 20s. There is something about having been on your own, doing your own thing, like just, this is me. I sleep at night. I get up this early. I do these during your routines. And that jolt of a tiny little human that you are at their beck and call, that can be a lot. So listen, especially women, and if you are a more mature mom in your 30s having your first baby, you probably have the resources to consider, maybe I hire a cleaning service. Maybe I do hire, if I don't have that local small community, not small, but connected. By small, I mean connected and intimate community who I want them in my home. Maybe you do hire a postpartum doula who her profession is to serve you during this time when you're trying to adjust to all these new changes and stuff. It's just, we really need to take more time to consider this. And I wish that women who are going through the mainstream medical process with pregnancy had that. That's why doulas are so, so important. If you are having a baby in the hospital, you need a doula. You absolutely need a doula to bring these things to your awareness so that you recognize like, oh, I haven't even thought about my postpartum. I'm just trying to have a baby. No. You come home with the baby from the hospital and your whole life is totally different. And you need to prepare for that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk more about this. We're going to, like I said, bring people on the show that is good, professional nutritionists and pelvic floor therapy Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm
coming
excited
up in the
to
next
talk.
couple episodes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
For
really
sure.
exciting.
Yes.
And so come back and check out the next few episodes because we're going to go in more depth with some of these things we've kind of just skimmed over today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.